We've been waiting seasons for Eris to return, but the version of her that showed up in this episode is completely unrecognizable. This episode didn't just bring her back, it proved why Eris wasn't ready for Rudy until the end. GamerSupps is collaborating with Bleach for the 1000-Year Blood War Part 4. While supplies last, pick up the exclusive The Death and the Strawberry flavor. Use code SeaTactics to get 10% off your order. So one of the big through lines of this episode, and the last episode as well, is Eris's relationship with Nina Farion. It's one of the more curious, and I find it to be entertaining for the most part, mostly because Nina serves as this kind of annoying presence initially. But for a while, I was worried it may not go anywhere or provide any value beyond Nina just annoying Eris. This episode proved me wrong. At the start of the episode, Nina gets wind that everyone around her is hitching and getting boyfriends and girlfriends, so feeling insecure and left out, Nina finds a way to make this about her and boost her wounded ego by annoying Eris about it, of course, because she feels that if she can make Eris feel bad about her virginhood, then she won't feel as bad about hers, I guess. So she stomps over to Eris, who is literally like dripping aura. Like, I'm not even kidding either. Sweat is pouring down this woman's face and body, and she just, oh my god, looks so badass. So she gets in Eris's face and basically calls her a virgin for life who would never be able to get any, even if she wanted. So she smirks back at her and is basically like, yeah, you wish, buddy. I've already done it with Rudy, and he's kind of amazing. And I love this too, Eris. Eris is just so great in this moment. She gets lost in thought about Rudy. She really doesn't care about sex, honestly. She cares about Rudy, because she soon just ends up gushing about how great Rudy is and this and that, yada yada. I gotta admit, it was really endearing to see Eris respect someone so much that she is going out to do all of this for him and of course to take down Orsted. I also thought it was rather humorous on Nina's end because the entire situation here is sort of ridiculous on its own merit. Nina is in a state of denial about herself. Life is moving on without her and people are finding love and she's still training and doing exactly what daddy tells her. So in a state of denial, she decides to go find this Rudeus and prove to Eris that he ain't shit. Which during her search, we find out that Rudy's name and Quagmire Rudeus still carries a tremendous amount of weight. I mean, Jesus Christ. Everyone knows Rudy. Everyone loves Rudy. Rudy is the god king of this realm, which makes sense as in season 2, he really did spend most of his time trying to get his name out there to find any info he could on Zenith. So while for different reasons, Nina becomes just another person looking to fight Rudy for X reason. She goes to Renoa, where we see that Rudy has lines and lines and lines of people looking to fight Rudy to either conquer him or become his husband or bear his children. I mean, it's rather funny to me because after Nina gets knocked out by Badigadi, she comes to and finally sees Rudy fight. But did you notice this detail? Nina didn't blush or immediately fall for Rudy. I think this may be a first in Tensei, and I'm actually not even kidding with that. Has there been a girl Rudy's age that hasn't fallen for him? I mean, for that alone, we gotta give Nina an award, please. Joking aside though, this scene had a lot of depth to it beyond just the comedy of seeing how insanely popular and celebritous Rudy has become. Nina sees Rudy and feels this sense of like, I don't know, like she isn't good enough, which I thought was a really good wrinkle for Nina's character. It's basically echoing what Eris said earlier in the episode that she isn't ready to be by Rudy's side, which isn't easy to admit, especially for Eris, who is brash and soon. So for Nina, who is honestly a bit similar to Eris now that I think about it, to admit that with her big ego too, it's kind of humbling and, dare I say, endearing. I think I flipped on this character by the end of this scene. It puts a mirror up to her personality, and she has to admit here that even she has shortcomings, that even she isn't nearly as great as she perceives herself. It doesn't really hurt the ego, though, as much as that I think it reinforces the walls around a person's goals, or Nina's goals in this case. It's a way to reflect on the grassroots of it all, to remember the reason she was training for this entire time, which was to be great, not just be better than Eris, which if you think about it, is easy to do. Like, I'm sure if you dedicate your entire life to being better than someone, you could eventually overcome that one person. That's what Gal basically told Ghislaine in the last episode. But to be truly great, you have to forge your own path and be different from your rivals. This moment revealed that Nina was still too naive for her own good and couldn't see beyond Eris to see her own destiny and what she is meant to become. Which is, I think, simply put, a better and better version of herself. So as Nina puts down that beef and picks up the sword to practice with Eris, which she seems to welcome, which was actually kind of cute, the next day Gal brings in the Water God Reida Lia and asks her to fight Eris and Nina in the Water God style. Now, this interaction on its own was so cool because Reida has this really awesome old people personality. Like, she doesn't give a single flying flip about anything, and I adore her for that energy. This is one of the best parts of Tensei in general that gets me every time. The world feels like it's a living and breathing person, full and brimming of different sorts of people and experiences. Characters like Reida and Gal, I think, contribute to this organic, lived-in kind of vibe, more so than even the art style does at times. The banter between them is good too, because Reida is like, trying to get one of your students to kill me with your own techniques, are ya? Ho ho! And Gal he gives this smirk back like he's just hit the jackpot. It almost reminds me of Askeladd from Vinland Saga. It's such good chemistry though. Lots of characters in this series feel as if they could be in their own anime, and I would watch it. And Gal is one. Hell, I think I'd watch one centered around Nina too, to be honest. But the one character out of all of these I saw and was like, holy crap, that's an amazing design, is Water King Isolde Cluel, I think is how you say her last name. Cluel. She's very cool. Get a Cluel. Okay. She reminds me of a character you'd see in those old Valkyria Chronicle games. I think like it's the sniper class to be specific. Either way, I already love Isolde. I'm Isolde. Oh boy. I like this next part a lot. The three of them are in a deadlock. Nina can't defeat Isolde, but can't defeat Eris. And Eris can't defeat Isolde, but can defeat Nina. It's a more interesting way to go about progressing these characters because it requires all three of them to progress, and so they have to learn from one another, which means Eris has to tell them the trick of what Rudy taught her that she used to defeat Nina, which is also why she can't defeat Isolde. It shows that while Rudy is nigh unstoppable and undefeatable, he's the God King after all, that even some of his tricks do have holes in them, which is why experience is key here and what Eris is trying to go for. More experience means more ways to minimize those weaknesses. This also highlights the change in mentality from Nina, who went from a generic, nearly unrealistic mean girl in her approach at the beginning of the episode to now having a sit-down conversation with the other girls and being honest so that they can grow. It was nice and a big improvement on where they were earlier. This approach works, and they are both successful in defeating Isolde, much to Isolde's dismay, I'm sure. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of any of these ladies' hits, just so I'm clear. But during this moment, Eris sees the same jacket that Ghislaine wears on Nina's wall. She doesn't wear it because it's not her style, but we learn that this jacket is something students here wear. It's a ritual to go out and hunt an animal to get their high to make this jacket. This was another cool bit of world building the series is so good at doing. It also fits for Eris to want this jacket because of her love and respect for Ghislaine. So the three decide to go out and hunt down these beasts. This moment surprised me a bit here too because it directly mirrors when Rudy and Broken Arrow were cornered by beasts. In that scene, Rudy gained the confidence to fight back and really pushed through his suicidal tendencies. Here, Eris, it's a little different here, but more or less it's the same sort of payoff. Eris is reinforced by the other two girls after just a big payoff moment. The difference here, though, is that Eris had her own moment fighting beasts to complete her rite of passage into more or less adulthood. It was a much more positive experience than what Rudy went through, but also not easy either. Eris, like Rudy, slowly gained friends over time by simply being herself and being honest, and went through a lot of training to get where she is now. So she sacrificed a lot of time. So as Isolde departs, Nina tells Eris that she needs to start taking care of herself for Rudy, because he probably wouldn't like smelly women who wear old rags, which, as a side note, I love that attention to detail, which phrasing. Eris is the mad dog because she looks the part, but deep down there is more to that, and there's symbolism here. This entire time she was so focused on this one singular goal that she never once stopped to think about the way she looks to other people. She simply wanted to train that bad and that hard that she had no other mental space for the world outside of her head. It shows on one hand the obsession Eris has with Orsted, but has a positive side in that she respected her training that much and her time there. She didn't want to waste a single second of anything else. So I imagine Eris didn't smell good at all by the end of her training, probably smelling like basically a random AOT character. And isn't that kind of funny when you think back to Eris from season 1 though, who probably wouldn't be caught dead in a dojo like that or a gi like that either? She probably would see her current self and hate her, thinking her to be too uncouth. But that's why I love Eris. That's why she is my favorite character in Mushoku Tensei. She's a character that suffers the most visibly and goes through the most change in less subtle ways compared to other characters. Through that, it allows us to imprint a bit more upon her, I think. I mean, there isn't anything quite like a bratty girl like herself going through this big change to come out the other side, more or less a total badass. I said it before, I'll say it again. Eris has so much aura by the end of this episode, she could be a Dragon Ball Z character and probably would fit right in. The episode then ends with Eris seemingly departing, ready to go and see Rudy, and if I'm being honest, I hope we get more Eris and Ghislaine only episodes and we wait a little bit before we get back to Rudy. To be fair, the last season was basically 24 episodes of nothing but the Rudy show, so I think it would be nice to see Eris go on a bit of an adventure before she gets back to Rudy. To me at least, I've been into series recently like Farion, so I love this idea of having characters go on adventures. So why not have Eris do that and go on a mini hero's journey arc within her hero's journey arc? You know, side quest it up. Let's see how Eris really handles responsibility and things beyond being this like entity that is solely tied to Rudy. Plus, I want to see Eris punch stuff really hard and go to different dojos and learn those other styles a little bit more intimately beyond having these sparring matches. Eris, obviously, is a character I love. She's a very good character, and I hope she doesn't just become Rudy's wife and then that's a wrap. The other two wives feel that way right now to me, so, you know, let's shake that up with Eris, you know, let's do something different. And honestly, I kind of hope they will, because like, Eris is ready. She has the skill, she has the aura, and it's easy, I think, to forget that the only reason she's this powerful now is because of what happened in season 1 and how she's changed so much. So if you still think she was a brat when she left Rudy, I think you're missing something here. The part that makes this entire transformation actually make sense. You need to watch this video here to understand her choice that made this version of Eris possible. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.